And now, from Louisville, Kentucky, the horse capital of the world and sports junkies' finest, giving you wagering advice and sports analysis. It's On the Switch with your host, Gino G.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Gino G. On the Switch here. I want to give a shout out to all the mothers out there that could be listening to the podcast today. Happy Mother's Day to you all. It's a very important day for all the mothers out there. This is your day, so please go enjoy it. We're going to be talking today about Saturday, May the 12th, an 11 race card at Churchill Downs. I love a few horses today, especially one in the last that we'll get to. 3 pick 4 tickets, 3 pick 5 tickets. I think we can make a lot of money today, and I guess we'll go ahead and get into the very first race here. 12:45 first post. The very first race is a $30,000 beaten Clammers going 6 furlongs on the dirt, and I like one horse and one horse only, and that's the 5 horse, Sheik of Sheiks. Sheik of Sheiks is the class of this field, class of the class, best of the best. Having run against much better, drops into a weak field here and is at the absolute one to beat. Yes, it will be 4-5, even money, 6-5 if we're lucky. If perhaps 6-5, we'll be placing a nice win wager on this one. But really, for the most part, others are just going to fight for place and show money. Sheik of Sheiks, the 5 horse, gets our nod, gets our selection in this very first race to start out the 11 race card here. Moving on to race 2. Race 2 is a $20,000 maiden Clammers going 6 furlongs on the dirt. This one was a little bit different, or a little bit difficult for us to decipher, but we landed on the 4 Brave Soul. Brave Soul is a well-positioned horse here against this field, having barely missed last out at the $30 level. Drops in for 20 for Mike Maker and Corey Lannery. I just think the small class drop with the connection is going to be well enough off to get the job done today. Lannery and Maker together, they hit at 18% at Churchill Downs. That's something to note as well. If perhaps we're looking elsewhere for pick 3s, pick 4s, pick 5 tickets, I also like a little bit the 6 Catatoga County. Catatoga County has progressed in every start in accordance to speed figures, jumping up by 8 ticks. Another small progression here, I think, can get the job done against again, as I said, a weak field. Should get the correct pace set up to have its best opportunity. Second off the layoff, I really think this one is well positioned. And then lastly, a first-time starter here for Thomas Drury, the 7, Mighty Ghost. Okay, I think this one has a really, really good chance, has a heck of a work tab, one of which was over the Churchill Downs main track going 4 furlongs, 50 and change. Drury is 24% overall, 17% with debut maiden Clammers, 20% for maiden Clammers altogether, all of which I think can't be dismissed when you're playing pick 4s and pick 5s. So I do like the 7 a little bit. Mighty Ghost for Thomas Drury. So again, in the second race here, we like the 4 Brave Soul on top, the 6 Catatoga County, and then the 7 Mighty Ghost. That is 4, 6, 7 for the second. Moving on to the third. The third race is a $25,000 starter allowance going 6.5 furlongs. I landed on the 2 Barbary Hall. Barbary Hall ran opening night for optional claiming $80,000 here at Churchill Downs. Was considered way overmatched that day at 25 to run. Did run a good 4th. Now gets a super class drop here. Second time on the track. Second time with the same jockey. I really think this one is well positioned. It should be tough at 5-1. I do think sometimes it's a little bit leery to take a horse at 5-1 when perhaps maybe you back this one at 25-1. But I think this one's well positioned, and 5-1 should be a fair price. Looking elsewhere under that, I do like the 1 Ivy's College Fund. Ivy's College Fund is a horse that we played at Keeneland last out and got paid with 6-1 odds. Winner of two in a row. The trainer is nearly 30% with horses coming off a win. So I think we need to note that as well. I think it needs a repeat of performance of last out to stay competitive in this group. But over the last few races, I don't see any reason why this one can't repeat the last performance. Should be the speed of the speed, who also has rateability if perhaps a long shot wants to go out crazy out front. So I think this one should be tough in this spot. So for us in the third race, we're just going with 2 horses here. That's the 2 Barbary Hall on top, the 1 Ivy's College Fund as our second horse. So that's 2, 1, and the third. Moving on to the fourth race. The fourth race is a $55,000 allowance, going 1 mile, 3/16 on the dirt. This one was a little bit tougher to find some value, but we landed on the 5. Hanford Roses at 8-5. 8-5 would be an absolute gift if we got 8-5. There's no way that will happen. It'll be more like 3-5 or 4-5. But we'll get our top selection here. After being off for 2 years, this one came back to run a respectable 4th at Keeneland last out. Got a 98 speed figure that day. And I think second off the layoff, a little more ground and an overall weaker field, this one will be insanely tough. Yes, again, at 3-5, 4-5, even money. I think this one's going to be the absolute one to beat. If perhaps we want to try and find some value for exacta, trifecta, supers, or if perhaps the 5 Hen of Roses just doesn't fire, I like the 6 Trustworthy. I think Trustworthy needs a look in here. A horse that ships in from Santa Anita for Anthony Quartararo. This horse has been consistent. And I think over the past week and a half or so, the California shippers have done really, really well here at Churchill Downs. Maybe besides a couple of horses on Oaks and Derby Day, which, again, those fields were extremely tough. Overall, the California shippers have done well, and I think this one's well placed. A pair of second-place finishes and a third against lightly weaker, I think maybe needs a little bit of a step up. But, again, this is a tough field here, and I think if gets a little bit of progression and the 5 Hen of Roses doesn't fire, the 6 Trustworthy is going to be there. So here in the 4th, just 2 horses again. We're going to go with the 5 Hen of Roses on top, 8-5 morning line, and then the 6 Trustworthy after that. Going on to the 5th race here, the 40K Open Clamour is going 6 furlongs on the dirt. I went with the 2, looking for a kiss. Coming off a 1-year layoff for Tomlinson, Tomlinson is 0 for 11 off a long layoff like this, so that is a little bit of a concern. But Tomlinson has worked this one 4 times over the Churchill Downs track, including on a day that a couple of Derby runners ran. And from what I understand from Bruno with the works, you can follow him on Twitter if you want. He says this one did not look out of place whatsoever. That to me is enough to give me a check mark here on this one. An easy half-mile breeze on May 5th going 48-1 makes me believe this one's primed off a layoff to get the job done at 5-1. That's the 2, looking for a kiss. Under looking for a kiss, I landed on the 4, Prime Issue. Prime Issue has some back races from Cali that would absolutely crush this group from last year. Got back on the track with an open 32,000 claim score at Keeneland. Finds itself well placed against this field. We'll need to take, I think, another step forward if this one wants to take the money. But second off the layoff, has this one's a top performance, I think, for today. Really should get a really, really good trip here. I do believe if perhaps this one runs back to any sort of last year form in California, will absolutely crush this field. Now, for our 3rd selection, this happens to be the morning line favorite, but there's a lot of question marks when it comes to this. I did land on Knight's Key, the 1. Okay, I think this one is the most logical contender in this spot. At 5-2 morning line, this one has ran 90+ speed figure in every start since November of 2016. 2 years almost, no race with less than a 90 speed figure. Now, the last time this one did run less than a 90 was on this track at Churchill Downs. Here's where the question marks come in. At 5-2, it's going to be hard for me to endorse this one, although they have a win over the track. The last time that they got to this track, they got well beaten 7th by 30-something lengths. So I do think this one has some back class to get the job done. But also, if perhaps you don't like a horse that doesn't really like the track or is not favorable to the track, this one could be vulnerable, but I am going to use it under, and we'll be using it in most pick 3s, pick 4s, and pick 5 tickets. So for us, in the 5th race, the $40,000 Open Clamour going 6 furlongs, I did land on the 2, looking for a kiss as our top choice. The 4 Prime Issue in second, and the 1, the morning line favorite, Knight's Key at 5-2. So for us, again, that's 2, 4, 1 in the 5th. Moving on to the 6th here is a maiden special weight 53,000 going 5.5 on the dirt. And there's really not much value here. The 2 favorites, the 4 and the 1, Chuck's Dream and Slick Silver, 2-1 and 8-5 on the line. Both of these are just going to be extremely tough to beat. They both come out of really, really high speed figures. And if they run those back, there's just really not much they can do. They're going to run 4-1 or 1-4. So it is going to be us. We are going to take the 4 Chuck's Dream on top, the 1 Slick Silver, and second as the 8-5 morning line favorite. But if perhaps you want a long shot play for this race is going to be the 3 Wild Road. Wild Road is the first-time starter for Dallas Stewart, who might have an outside chance here. Gets Top Jock on board, and with a great work tab all at Churchill Downs, maybe this one has an outside shot at a price to take home some gimmicks, and or if perhaps the 1 or 4 doesn't fire, this could be the one at 10-1 morning line that could get the job done, just basically taking care of a field that just falls apart. So for us, in the 6th race, the maiden special weight 53K, going 5.5 on the dirt, I did land on the 4 as our top selection, the 1, the 8-5 morning line choice, second, the 3 Wild Road 10-1 as our third choice. Moving on to the 7th. 7th is an allowance optional claimer 80K, going 1 mile, 1/16 on the turf, and it's going to be a single for us. A single in the 7, Don't Mess with Joanne. Don't Mess with Joanne will be our single to start the pick 5. Comes in off a state-bred stake score at Fairgrounds and seems to have some back class to get the job done here. Although this is a pretty tough field of 80,000 optional claimers, this one has run against better at the Fairgrounds, and I do believe this one will be sitting much closer to the pace today than over the last few. There's not a whole lot of pace in here, and I know if you look at the actual form, this one has been 10 back, 12 back, 14 back. I don't think this one will sit that far back. Maybe 6, 7, 8 off of it against a really, really slow pace. And I also believe this one enjoys a wide trip. Over the last 3 races, in which the last 3 races have been probably arguably the best 3 races of this one's lifetime, this horse loves to go wide. And if anybody's been watching Churchill Downs turf races, wide horses usually get the job done. So if this horse likes going wide, it will go wide here and get the job done for us at 4-1. That's 4-1 on Don't Mess with Joanne. The 7 are single in the 7th. In the 8th race, it's a maiden special weight 53K, going 1 mile, 1/16 on the dirt. And I landed on the 5 Brave Nation. Brave Nation will get our check mark in our top selection. Runs a 90 speed figure in a very fast maiden special weight at Keeneland last out off the layoff. 3rd time blinkers, 2nd off the layoff, and a trainer that's 23% at Churchill Downs and 15% across the board otherwise. I think this one should be well placed and very, very tough, especially if this one finds an improve from last out. So it's going to be the 5 Brave Nation as our top selection. Fort Peck, the 3 for Ian Wilkes, will get his 3rd try over the track. 2 consecutive second place finishes and an increased speed figure from 80 to 89 makes this one tough. And especially tough if this one improves. An 89 to a 91, 92, 93 is just going to put this one most likely in first place. A running style for this one that will make others make a move. This one's going to be forwardly placed, could be on the lead, could be sitting right off of it. Does have also the ability to rate. So I think really this one will get first run. If perhaps this one gets passed, it's going to be late. So that's the 3 Fort Peck for Ian Wilkes. I think has a really good chance. Also, if perhaps, and this is an interesting angle here, the 7 Russian to the Circle. Russian to the Circle here. Like I said, interesting angle. Ian Wilkes usually goes to Brian Hernandez Jr. Brian Hernandez Jr. always seems to ride Ian Wilkes' horse if they're at the same track at the same time. Always rides Ian Wilkes' horse. Yet Brian Hernandez Jr. decided to ride the 7, not Ian Wilkes, but finds himself here on the 7. Now, this might be a little bit of a stretch. Maybe Ian Wilkes likes a different jockey for this particular horse, but it seems odd to me because I can't remember an Ian Wilkes horse that was not ridden by Brian Hernandez over the last month or so? I mean, I'm sure there are, but I can't remember. I can't recall one. So the fact that Brian Hernandez chooses the 7 over the 3, who is the morning line favorite, something seems a little bit off to me. And that's why I think this one has a really, really big chance. Brian Hernandez has just been absolutely on fire. 4 wins on Thursday. I think had another 2 or 3 wins on Friday, talking about yesterday. I think this one's well placed. Definitely has a really, really big shot at 5-1. So for race 8, that is maiden special weight 53,000 going 1 mile 1/16th. We landed on the 5, 3 in second, and the 7 as a little bit of a price play. That is 5, 3, 7 in the 8th. The 9th is the unbridled Sydney Overnight Stakes, going 5 furlongs on the turf. I landed on the 3 Triple Chelsea, who has won 3 of her last 4 races overall, topped with a 1:16 speed figure and a win in the Giants Causeway at Keeneland. This one's looking to gain some traction heading towards the Breeder Cup Turf Sprint. I really believe the trainer and jockey both are really excited about this one. I think that's where they're pointing towards. This one is just basically a prep race, more of a weaker stakes field, but I do believe this one is looking for bigger aspirations. Definitely should be the one to beat. I believe the recent speed figures in the back class is what this one will rely on to get the job done today. That is the 3 Triple Chelsea, who will get our top selection. The number 10, Excessive Spending, is a horse I'm going to take a shot with at 10-1 when it comes to pick 3s, pick 4s, pick 5s. This one is on the steady improve in her last 4 starts. Just missed in the Giants Causeway against Triple Chelsea, and I think could actually flip the switch here if perhaps Triple Chelsea does not fire. This one has been improving over the last 4 starts and really has a big opportunity here to progress again, third off the layoff, which should be prime for top performance. So that is the 10, Excessive Spending. 10-1 morning line, I think, is definitely a price play that you should include. The 9, Morticia, is going to get our third check mark here. Morticia is 2-1 on the line. This filly comes in finishing 3rd or better in 10 straight starts. Just always seems as this one runs in a race, gets to the line, and this one's always there. 3rd beaten a length, 2nd beaten ahead, first, 2nd beaten ahead, 3rd beaten by 1 3/4. This one's always there. And I think in this spot will be the same way. When they cross the line, this one's going to be there. I'm not necessarily sure that this one's going to get the money. I do believe this one has some back class, but not as much as others that are in this field. So I am a little bit suspicious at 2-1, but overall, this one's going to be extremely tough and will be there when they hit the line. So for us, in the 9th, the unbridled Sydney Overnight Stakes, going 5 furlongs on the turf. We landed on the 3 Triple Chelsea, the 10 as a price play, Excessive Spending, and then the 9 Morticia. Race 10 is open, 40,000 claimers, going 6 furlongs on the dirt, and I really like a horse, the 6, Charge the Line. Charge the Line moves to open company after showing speed, then fading last out at optional claimer 30K at Fairgrounds, which was a state bred event. Gets a pretty open, soft field today, and back at a distance this one has had previous success at. A little concerning, Foley can't get Lannery up, who is typically his guy. But I don't think this is a big deal here because it does get Brian Hernandez, and Brian Hernandez, as we just mentioned, super hot right now. So I think gets a really good jock. And these two did connect on Thursday, I believe, for an $11 winner, Foley and Brian Hernandez. So maybe Foley's given Brian Hernandez a few more horses here. So I do like this one on top. The 6, Charge the Line, the 6. Horse in second that I have written down here is the 8, Kate's Golden Dude. Kate's Golden Dude has run against much better than today's field and is keyed as the favorite at 7-2. Although 7-2, this horse could be 5-1, could be 6-1, could be 8-5. I think it can go either way. People can look at this race and say, oh, wait, this one's much better, and which would make sense. Also, people could say, I don't understand this horse, which would also make sense. So I think if you watch the tote board, that will kind of dictate how the general public really thinks of this horse and could actually be the reason this horse wins and or loses, losing by being higher odds, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 1, not the favorite. And also could get the job done at 6 to 5, 7 to 5 if everybody just jumps on board. But Kate's Golden Dude has run against better than today's field. Getting Santana in the irons, I suspect Santana to go towards the front, has the ability to rate as well. So I think Santana can be aggressive and should get first run against this field. Again, some back class, so I do believe that this one can lean on that as well to get the job done. Lastly, I like a horse at a price. 10 to 1 on the line. That's the 4. Last Drop of Wine. Last Drop of Wine is a horse for course and distance in this spot. Although it hasn't shown the speed figures of the top contenders, this one does get his favorite track and distance. Lifetime high 86 speed figure will need to be repeated, but that 86 speed figure just happened to be at this track and at this distance. So I think Last Drop of Wine, the 4 horse, definitely needs a look here at 10 to 1 and could be a horse that could get us over the top when it comes to pick 4s and pick 5s if perhaps this one can get the job done. So in race 10, the open 40K claimer going 6 furlongs on the dirt. I landed on the 6, Charge the Line as our top selection. The 8, Kate's Golden Dude as our second selection. And the 4 as a price, Last Drop of Wine. So that is 6, 8, 4 in the 10th. Race 11 is my favorite. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know how else to break it down. I don't know what to possibly tell you besides the 11th race I am so pumped about. So pumped about. It's a maiden special weight, 53,000 going 1 mile, 1/16th on the turf, and it is our best bet of the day. Cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. I don't know what to say. Like I'm stuttering over my words just because I am so pumped for this horse. I think everybody will be the same as well. I hope we can get a little bit of a price. 6 to 1 on the line. I love the 11. Don't Stop Maria. Don't Stop Maria is a first-time starter for Brad Cox out of Data Link. Data Link, a good turf sire. Not great, but a good turf sire. And all Data Link horses need to go long. So to see this horse on the grass going long makes complete sense. So Brad Cox has this one well positioned. It is definitely in a tough spot. This race is very competitive, but Brad Cox, I'm trying to think. Brad Cox hasn't lost a turf race in what seems like forever. Okay, whether it was Keeneland, now at Belmont. I know he just won a race at Belmont yesterday and won a race before that at Belmont, the day before that at Belmont on Thursday. So I can't remember a race in which Brad Cox didn't have a runner on the turf that didn't win. Okay, puts this one in, like I said, a good spot and really has a nice work tab. Typically, turf horses do not run that fast. So to see 4 furlongs, 50 and change, 5 furlongs, 103 and change, that's not really that big of a deal. And I don't think we should worry about that at all. But here's a couple of things that you should consider. Okay, let's give you a little statistics, a little background. Okay, how about Brad Cox, Sean Bridgman, 24% on 132 mounts. 24% winners, 132 mounts. How about Brad Cox being 26% with first-time starters? Okay, that's over 94 runners, 26% winners. Cox also has won at a 23% clip in maiden special weights over 166 entries. Okay, lastly, how about Brad Cox being 27% overall, 840 runners, 27% winners? You put all this combined, Cox and Bridgman, Cox just being successful in general, 25% plus across the board, and the fact that Cox is so hot on the turf. Are you kidding me? This horse is 6 to 1 on the line, is positioned outside, which I'm not greatly fond of, but I think just the fact that Cox is just on fire he just doesn't lose races. So we're going to single this horse in everything that we play, going to play some monster doubles. I absolutely love this horse. That is the 11. Don't Stop Maria. That ends the card for us. Now, as I mentioned before, this being Saturday, this weekend is Mother's Day. So again, if y'all didn't hear the first part, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there that are listening. I do appreciate you all. I have a mother myself that I love. My wife, we have children. Love her to death. She's a great mother. I just want to give a shout out to all the mothers. I appreciate all of you all, and I appreciate you all listening. So, few bets here. Talking about pick 4s and pick 5s. I didn't put a pick 6 ticket together, and I'll tell you why. Late in the card, I think you need to go deep in so many races. Okay? So, if we go deep in so many races, and I put together a ticket that I thought I was going to, bet and or put on the podcast here, and I came up with like an $840 ticket. I mean, that's just how ridiculous this late part of the card can be. Extremely tough. So I landed on 3 pick 4 tickets, 3 pick 5 tickets, and let's go over them right now. Race 1 starts at pick 4 here, 50-cent wager. I started with a single of the 5, Chic of Chics. Then we went 4, 6, 7 with the 1, 2 with all. So that's 5 with 4, 6, 7 with 1, 2 with all. A $21 play. $21. Race 1, pick 4, 5, 4, 6, 7, 1, 2, all. Race 2 starts at pick 5, 50-cent minimum wager. We went with the 4, 6, 7 with the 1, 2 with all, with 1, 2, 4, with 1, 3, 4. I really like, I know it's deep basically in every leg. I really like this ticket. It's $94.50, but really could pay bundles. Huge money. A couple of 10-to-1 shots in there that I think really have a chance. Could pay bundles. That's $94.50 for the 50-cent pick 5 wager starting in race 2. Again, that's 4, 6, 7 with 1, 2 with all, with 1, 2, 4 with 1, 3, 4. $94.50 with that. Race 4 is another pick 4, 50-cent minimum wager. We're going to start with the all button. Then 1, 2, 4 in the 5th. 1, 3, 4 in the 6th. And then we're going to single the 7 in the 7th. So that's all. 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 7. $31, 50-cent wager here. Again, all with 1, 2, 4, with 1, 3, 4, with the 7. $31.50 for that starting in race 4. Race 5 is another pick 5 ticket. 50-cent minimum wager. We're going to start with the 1, 2, 4 in race 5. We'll use the 1, 3, 4 in race 6. Again, singling the 7 in the 7th. We'll use the 3, 5, 7 in the 8th. And 3, 9, 10 in the 9th. That's a $40.50 wager. That's 1, 2, 4 with 1, 3, 4 with the 7. With the 3, 5, 7. With the 3, 9, 10. $40.50. Pick 5 wager starting in race 5. Race 7. Another pick 5 ticket we have. We're going to start with the single of the 7. Again in race 7. Single the 7 in race 7 to start our pick 5. Then we'll have the 3, 5, 7. With the 3, 9, 10. With the all button. And then hammering home, very last race, race 11, singling the 11 for a $40.50 ticket. That's 7 with 3, 5, 7, with 3, 9, 10, with all, with 11, $40, 50-cent play, race 7, 50-cent pick 5. Race 8, basically going to be carbon copying the pick 5 ticket just for 4 races, the last 4 legs. 50-cent minimum wager. We're going to start with the 3, 5, 7, with the 3, 9, 10, with all, with the 11. Again, a $40, 50-cent play. Again, starting in race 8 to end us with millions of dollars here. 3, 5, 7, with 3, 9, 10, with all, with 11. $40, 50-cent play. I do appreciate everybody listening to our show here. If perhaps you haven't already, if this is your first time checking us out, please drop us a follow on Twitter at OnTheSwitch1 for the podcast. For our background guy, the guy who really puts everything together, Travis 2L. So that's at Travis, the number 2, and the letter L. And then myself, Gino G. You can follow me at DeVilleKY32. That's at DAVILLEKY32. If perhaps you haven't already, and I don't know why you haven't, we've had winners since day one of this meet. We have an email route that's going to everybody, free selections. If you're not listening to the podcast or you want something to actually look at yourself while also listening to the podcast, please get at me at GF Greasehaber. So that's GRIESHABER at gmail.com. That's GF Greasehaber at gmail.com. And if perhaps you want to email the show, which is completely fine with us as well, we can put you on the email route and we'll go that way as well. That's ontheswitchshow at gmail.com. Ontheswitchshow at gmail.com. I appreciate everybody for listening. I appreciate your time. Again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I wish you all the best of luck. And I hope all the tickets that we have played hit together and we can all cash some tickets. See you later, guys.
On the Switch.